Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1 when I post videos to this channel. See, I'm wearing the hat and everything. I'm in proper uniform. And here on ETCG1 we start things off with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Please enjoy this digital cake I found for you on the internet. It is delicious. Now that we've got the pleasantries out of the way, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video, which is my advice to new technicians coming into the repair field. And this not just comes from me, I also took a little bit from the comments to a video I posted last week where I asked you, the viewers, what you thought of the repair industry and what advice you might give somebody new coming into it. And I'm just gonna get right to it. As I mentioned, I've made notes and everything. I think the biggest advice that I can give you is your attitude is everything. What you bring to the table is what you're gonna get out of things. When I started out, I had this, well, I know a bunch of stuff and I just got out of school. And then I got into the Bay and I started actually working on vehicles and stuff. Well, this was at my first dealership job. It was different. It's different when depending upon where you work. I started in an independent shop and I recommend that because there's a lot of variety there. And if you get in with the right group of people, it can be a great learning experience. However, I'm not sure how that works today because there's even more stuff out in the world than there was when I started out. But the point is, I came in thinking I knew stuff, and the people that I was working with showed me that I didn't. Working in a dealership is very different than working in an independent shop. And again, I thought I knew stuff, but there was plenty to learn when I went into the flat rate side of things, which is a topic that came up quite a bit in the comments to that last video that I posted. Flat rate is a way that technicians can get paid, or many technicians get paid, and it's based on the job that is done. So if you're replacing a radiator, let's say, somebody somewhere figured out that with hand tools or what have you, that you could replace that component in X amount of time. So let's just say for round numbers, replacing a radiator is half an hour. If it takes you an hour to replace that radiator, you still get paid a half an hour. If it takes you 15 minutes to replace that radiator, you still get paid half an hour. So the game then becomes, oh, well, how can I beat book time? Like with every job that I do, because that equates to a bigger paycheck. Oh, great. I'm going to try to steer you away from that type of thinking because ultimately at the end of the day, it's about customer satisfaction. And if you find yourself cutting corners, trying to make book time or beat book time, you may be, cutting off your nose to save your face. I can't remember how the saying goes, but in other words, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. How's that one? Because that step you might have skipped or something like that could result in a comeback. And comebacks, well, you don't get paid for comebacks. They're not profitable. And not to mention, unhappy customers are not repeat customers. And that's the way you need to start thinking. You need to start thinking about these vehicles just like they were a friend or a family member's vehicle. Like, what would you do for them? And those customers, if you treat them well and you take care of their vehicles, they will continue to come back. And that's your paycheck. So whenever they need service or whenever their vehicle's broken, or maybe their friends and families, they start coming to you, that kind of thing. So you develop relationships in this business. That's how it works. There's been, as I mentioned, a lot of changes in the past 30 years that I've been a technician / YouTuber. And those challenges face new technicians coming into the field. And that's why I reached out to the viewers at large to see what their experiences were, because my experience is different than most. And that may be telling of, I think, all of our experiences as technicians and mechanics. It's all different. And that's something I think you really need to take to heart, because I've known technicians that have started out at a job and then they work for a while and then they freaking hated it. And I know other technicians that ended up in another place which might have had a better culture environment, another better working environment, and they turned out great. And then sometimes you just turn out how you're going to turn out, and maybe it's against all odds or what have you. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide how you conduct yourself. And I want you to think of yourself as a commodity. And it's not just you, it's your box of tools, and I should bring that up. You're never gonna stop buying tools with this. That's always gonna be a part of your spend. So whatever you make, there's gonna be a percentage of that is constantly gonna go back to purchasing tools. But that becomes part of your arsenal, not just your mental Rolodex of things that you now know how to do or have overcome or have run into, but also like the tools that you bought to maybe make that job easier and those types of things. So those are your force multipliers, if you will. Those are the things that work with you. So your tools are just as important. And when it comes to tools, The temptation might be to get, the best toolbox you can get, fill it up with the best tools and all that kind of thing. What I would advise, I don't think the toolbox itself matters at all. Buy a used piece of junk, doesn't matter. As long as the drawer's open and closed and you can lock the thing and people can't break into it. That's the important thing. But you really want to fill it with good tools. The tools are what's important. The box is just the box. And after years and years and years of filling up one of the boxes that I had, it was completely overflowing. I had to buy a new toolbox. So I decided to step up and buy one of those expensive toolboxes. There was some buyer's remorse there. I like having that expensive toolbox and the status that comes with it, so to speak, but I have another toolbox that's like equally large that works just as good. Again, I think it's the tools that you put into it. So if you're going to put money somewhere, put it into the tools. And as far as what tools to put your money into, I'm going to say buy the best hand tools you can get. So your wrenches, your sockets, your ratchets, and those types of things. Buy the best stuff you can get there. Once you get into your new job and start working for a while, I think you'll have a better idea of what other tools you'll need. And then you start buying to that. So in other words, you buy the tools for the job that you have. You're always going to need hand tools. So good quality hand tools, those aren't going to let you down. But as far as buying a bunch of specialty tools, scan tools, that kind of thing, wait and see what you need before you start making that investment. Going back to, when I started out, I thought I knew everything. You kind of got to listen to the older guys in the shop for a bit. And they may be full of crap. But you have to just do that. You have to roll with that. You have to respect their experience because ultimately this whole thing is experience-based. So you're going to learn through doing. You're not necessarily going to take all that stuff that you got in school and be able to apply that to what you're doing. To some degree you will. But I think it's ultimately, at least it was that way for me. I had to work for a while before I finally got into it and finally figured out how to do it. Lastly, this is sort of a summary from the comments to that other video. Now I touched on flat rate a little bit earlier and how technicians get paid. Well, one thing that many commenters suggested was looking for fleet work. And what that is like working for a company that has a bunch of delivery trucks or a bunch of vehicles that they use to go out and do whatever. If you get a job working there, it's going to be a salary position most likely and come with benefits and all kinds of other stuff, but the work is much more consistent. And you're not working with customers, which adds a whole new element to this whole deal. But fleet work was something that they suggested a lot. A lot of people that were working flat rate were complaining that, well, they're not getting paid as much because a lot of what they're doing is warranty work at dealerships and things like that. And warranty flat rate is less than customer pay flat rate. So they've been feeling the squeeze, having to pay out all this money in tools just to do the job and then getting paid less on the other side of it. I can see how that would make you not so happy. And that's the thing, you get into a place and you've worked there for a number of years and you build up your tenure and then you find yourself not liking what you're doing. What do you do then? I'm going to circle back to, well, if you treat yourself like a small business, if you treat yourself like you and your toolbox as a commodity, you are offering this to whoever you're working for. That can translate to, maybe I'm not going to work for somebody anymore. Maybe I'm going to work for myself. Totally doable, but I would suggest that you work in the field for a while and you get your feet wet before you decide to go out on your own and start a business. Learning to work as a mechanic is enough of a challenge, and starting a business is a whole other challenge on top of that. Don't make it too hard on yourself. Give yourself a little bit of time to settle in and figure out what you're good at, and then go for that business. Find the need. If you're looking for the business, find the need. I did Eric the Car Guy because I looked out there and I didn't see a whole lot of how-to auto repair video out there that had some kind of production quality. So that's what I went for. So I took my entrepreneurial thinking, if you will, and translate it into my career now, my job now. And you can do that with the repair field. I think just with anything, not just YouTube, with anything, probably more successful perhaps. Here's one last thing that I'll give you. Think about EV. I know that the whole EV thing has cooled, and what I'm talking about is electric vehicles when I say EV. And maybe focusing on that. I know that had its day in the sun, it seems to have gone away, but I don't think that's going away. A lot of people bought EVs, a lot of people I don't think are going back. I think that's where they're at and that's where they're going to be. So if you want to future-proof yourself, if you will, I would learn about EV, and you may go to specialize in that, and that could be your way forward. So who knows? But Don't rule out new technologies because those are always going to happen. And if you keep up with them, well, you're never going to run out of work. If you don't keep up with them, who knows? Anyhow, I look forward to your comments on this one, and if you are a technician looking to get into the field, I wish you the best of luck. I also invite you to read those comments below because I'm pretty sure people are going to comment on their experiences, and that may be of value to you. I want to thank all of you for watching today and remind you that air@thecarguy.com is there if you have automotive questions. That'll be linked in the description along with additional information and stuff. So if you have questions about the video or car questions, please check the description. Otherwise, be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you next time.